Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Steelheads Weekly with Mark Freitas and Darius Dominguez. Mark, the OHL playoffs have officially begun, and we are in the middle of all the series. And what do you think of everything going on so far? And most importantly, how are you doing this week, buddy?
I'm doing well. I've been under the weather, but all the series have been very good. Good. There's been some series that aren't surprising, like who is up. Like there's some series that are like three. There's some teams are up 3-0 already. There's some teams that should be up by three, and it's like 2-1. It's been an interesting playoff so far, and I'm looking forward to getting into it with you today about the Steelheads because we have a lot to get off our chest for game one, two, three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and very eventful 3 games. Well, very eventful 2 games, the last 2 games. I would say game one,
Yes.
we're probably going to gloss over very quickly just because we are Steelhead Central. But before we get to that, they did have the OHL coaches poll, which they have every year, right around, when the season ends into the first round of the playoffs. And we got a couple Steelheads who were mentioned, so I want to give them a shout out because there have been years where the Steelheads were not mentioned, even though they were a good team. So I'm going to bring this up because it should be celebrated. In the coaches poll, Mason Zabeski was named third most underrated player in the Eastern Conference. So congratulations to him. And it's true. I feel like he is completely underrated, and he hasn't come alive in this playoff series so far, as much as I'm sure he would like. But the second half of the season, he played great. You have Porter Martone as the third best shootout shooter in the East, which is funny because the Steelheads had one shootout this year, and he missed his attempt. So I thought that was
Huh.
just a
Good,
funny little tidbit.
good job, OHL, on doing your research.
And Jack Ivankovic was third best shootout goaltender in the East, which again, there was one shootout. And
They only,
I
they only won
can't
one
remember.
shootout this year.
Yeah, I think we were at it. I can't remember
No,
100%.
that was yeah, we were at that. 'Cause I have a video of it. Yes, we do.
And I think he stopped all 3 shooters, if I can remember correctly. But anyway,
Yeah,
that's
that's
all
so
three.
funny.
That's all 3 Steelheads in the coaches poll.
That
So
was the
congrats.
day you taught me how to do 4K on my phone, record something on that. There we go.
That's right. Yeah. Yes, Mark didn't know that you could record in 4K on an iPhone, on the newer iPhones. Before we move on, I should say that all of that is from Mitchell Fox, and you should follow Mitchell Fox, Mitch11_F, on Twitter. He's been covering the Steelheads all season long, and the work he's been doing in the playoffs has been phenomenal. He's the only reason I missed game one. He's the only reason I know what happened in game one. So
Yeah,
he's a phenomenal follow if you want to, stay up to date with everything Steelheads. He's been doing a great job the second half of
oh,
the
you
season.
you you are right because he was the one where I got all my updates on leaners for my article I just did on Ivan Kovic. So out of all the writers or out of reporters for Mississauga, he's the only reliable one I would go to.
Yeah, this season
So
he's really. I mean, there's a lot of great reporters in Mississauga.
yeah,
I can name them all, but I also don't want to name drop people. I mean, maybe I could, but anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
one
But
of them right here.
yeah, exactly. No, there's a lot of great reporters covering the Steelheads. Lots of great stuff, but I have to
Yeah,
shout out Mitchell because he's been on top of everything the second
yes,
half. Like he brings up things and stats that I wouldn't have even thought about, and even in this playoffs, he's covering things play by play almost. Like it's been really
literally,
good. So
and he got a quote from JR after Saturday's injury right away too, which was much needed for.
yeah, everyone was following. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to it. But
Yeah,
everyone was following what was happening with Leanders, and Mitchell had that right away. He was able to get that quote out of Jr. Right after the game. So he's a great follow if you want to stay up to date with everything Steelheads, like moving into hopefully the second round of the playoffs. He's got you covered. He's been
hmm
really in depth and thorough this year, and he's a great follow. So, and his articles are great too. He had a lot of really good insight personally on the move to Brampton, and he had some great quotes and interviews in that article as well. So check that one out. Actually, I'll put it in the description. I'll put it in the description of this video. So great stuff. But Mark, should we start with game one?
yeah. There's not much really to discuss about it. They lost 3-0. Obviously we missed it, but we were obviously staying up to date with updates in the game and things like that. But from what we heard and saw, it seemed like we didn't miss too much. It was
Hmm.
like a 3-0 game. Not much really dissect there, essentially, but heard it was chippy from the beginning.
I think the tone was set pretty early with a lot of penalties. It was a 55-minute first period, which for the OHL is insane because there's no commercial breaks. Well, they have the TV timeouts or whatever in the middle of the period.
Yeah.
But it was a long first period with a lot of penalties. The Steelheads need to stay out of the box, and it's been a theme, especially in last night's game, Game 3. They have to stay out of the box, and Sudbury capitalized on their chances, and they have the matchup we were talking about, how it was going to be so great for the Steelheads, is that the Wolves do not have goaltending and defense, and they were able to neutralize the Steelheads using that in this game. So everything that could have went wrong for the Steelheads went wrong in this game.
It did, yes. And again, they're not staying disciplined, and something we talked about as well. 'Cause Sudbury will make you pay right away if you don't capitalize. If you don't stay out of the box.
And I told you, I think on Thursday, when was the first game? Thursday night.
Yes.
I told you that the whole narrative coming into this series was you don't have a goaltender and your defense is not good. All you have is a potent offense. If you're on the Sudbury side.
Very good offense.
Very, very good offense. But that was the narrative coming in. And I told you on Thursday night that the fact that Vondras got a shutout in Game 1, you have him feeling good now. That's dangerous. That is a dangerous place to be. Even if you lose that Game 1, as long as you score a goal or two, you don't have him feeling good. And I was feeling really shaky about that heading into the Game 2 because I'm like, you dropped one on home ice right away, and now the goaltender feels good about himself, even though the narrative around him is not good.
Yeah.
So,
and going into Game 2, they did well on him.
Yeah.
For a good chunk of that game.
I mean, and you get the first goal very early, 2 minutes into the game, right? They
needed that.
They did. But then very quickly.
Oh, you go ahead.
Very quickly they get scored on. The game is tied, right? Then you go up 2 goals, and I think the turning point. I think honestly, it's the turning point of the season at 3-1 when Leenders goes out with that injury, one way or another. It's a turning point for the Steelheads this season. JR had a quote that actually Mitchell Fox got, that he was alluding to the fact that one of the Sudbury players was trying to take out, like I'm just going to say it in plain English, and he was tiptoeing around it, was trying to take out Leenders in Game 1, and the same player hit him in Game 2, and Leenders wasn't feeling great after that kind of hit, I guess, and they had to take him out of the game. So I'm wondering if that's concussion protocol. They haven't said anything 100%, but yeah, go ahead.
I saw another tweet. It was like they said it was a lower body injury.
Right, which is the other thing I wanted to bring up too. So thank you for bringing that up. When he came out for the second period, I was mentioning it to everyone. We were with a group of people watching the game. When he came out for the second period, it looked like he fell and he slid in the splits like a long way to the net. And I was like, I've never seen him do that. And I just thought maybe I missed something, like maybe I'm missing something, but he did the splits the whole way to the net. And I was like, that just looked very uncomfortable. So the fact that it could be a lower body injury too, like that could be the moment that happened because he was taken out right after that, basically.
I mean, it could be, a upper body with the head, and it's not a blessing in disguise. You can kind of excuse it, but they kind of have something where they can just say it's lower body, but Richmond probably knows.
Well, they know.
They know.
I'm assuming it's not going to come out exactly what it is. And for good reason, because I think you have to keep injuries private now. Because, there could be players.
I think ever since COVID, they've even with ever since the COVID years, they've been kind of hiding injuries now.
Well, you see it in the NHL. It's never he has a wrist injury now. It's always an upper body injury or a lower body injury, right? So,
yeah, they don't go into it.
Yeah. So right after that, again, that was the turning point of this game. Right after that, the Wolves are coming back strong. I mean, the first shot on goal against Ivan Kovic goes in, right? And
yeah, you could tell the poor kid was nervous.
Yeah,
poor guy was.
You can't blame him.
Kid's getting thrown into the Wolves, no pun intended. And it's like you feel bad for him because like it's a situation where he's not dealt it. He's been dealt a bad hand. Then the goal that made up 4-3, that one was bad. He was off the post and just went in, and he felt bad. But
I think the most important thing in this, because there's lots of talk about Steelheads backup comes into net, right? Like the Steelheads backup is now in net. He's had a great season. We've praised him all season. He's a very good goaltender. Playoff experience is a different animal. When you throw, it's not even that he hasn't played in the playoffs. You throw him into this game in the middle of the game cold, and the first shot he on goal goes in. Like you're rattled, and it's not his fault at all. And again, he's a rookie, and he played, I thought, pretty well after that. There was one sequence he made 5 saves on one sequence, kept him in the game.
He, believe it or not, he faced 29 shots.
Right, from the midpoint of that game on.
Like, that's wild. Leaders had 15.
Yeah, the final shots were 44-33 for the Wolves.
No, and it sucks. Like, he played so well. They get the 5-4 lead. All Mississaugas do is clear it out. They don't clear it out. They're going for the pass, man. Just clear it out.
Yeah, and they've had that was we'll talk about game 3 in a moment, but that was the theme of game 3 for me. But again, they wouldn't get it out, and then you got Coach Adelic scoring the hat trick. Obviously, he gets the game winner in overtime, which was a very broken play. There was a lot of
don't get me started.
There was a lot of broken plays, just throwing it on net. But sorry, you know what? I just skipped over a very important part of the game. It was tied 4-4.
A lot of the players are puck watching.
Yes, and the Steelheads. I don't know if it was the goalie switch and how the game ended up going after that point, because it looked like they were very much in control of that game.
Yes.
Up until the goalie injury. The whole third period was a lot of puck watching. They looked dead. I was scared that it was going to go to overtime and they would lose because they had no momentum. They had nothing going for them. And Carmeers, who's been everything for them so far in this playoffs, scores that goal out of nowhere. A great shot. And just curls off the boards and shoots it, and it goes in. And all of a sudden, you're like, you're going to win the game. Like, you're going to pull this out. And that's what I felt. Yeah, that's what you feel in that moment, right? Like, okay, game over. Fantastic.
Yeah, and they don't clear it out, Darius. Like I said, they're going for the fancy pass. Like, just shoot it. If you get the icing, get the icing. Call timeout. I don't know if they do it anymore. You can't call timeout. But just get the icing. Do whatever you have to do. Yep. That's it. No, they're going for the pass. And then the overtime goal, there's 3 guys puck watching there, Darius. And I haven't been like frustrated watching an OHL game in a couple of years. But I guess watching that play, it frustrated me. Because it's a simple play where they're just staring at it. And obviously
there's a lot of puck watching going on, especially in that final minute, and you're up a goal. I thought that the goal would hopefully go to their legs and they would close out the game, because usually that's what happens. You get this energy boost, you get this adrenaline, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. And we were saying puck off the glass and out with the Sudbury's offense. If you can get them to stop and start, you're in a good spot. Even if you're icing it, you have to get them to reload, right? Like they're unable to get anything going and flowing. Once they get flowing, they're passing cross seam, stuff like that. We saw it yesterday. That's where they're dangerous. If you can get them to stop and start and, face offs, even if you ice it or just puck off the glass and have them reload, have to enter the zone again, do that. But there was a lot of just trying to make the play to get maybe the empty netter, and they made a pass within the blue line, which is so frustrating. Like in the final minute, it's literally just off the glass and out. Just do that. And they didn't, and they get scored on. And then in that moment, again, the momentum shifts again, where you're like, maybe they're not going to pull out this game, right? Anything's possible, but you have that momentum shift again, where you're like, they didn't have their legs all third period. They get that goal that they could hopefully just hold on to and squeeze out this win, because they earned it with their play earlier in the game. And then you're still tied and you're going overtime.
Yep. And we know what happens there. Puck watch again, glove side. Frustrating.
Yeah, posting in, nothing Ivan Kovic could have done. I thought he played fantastic.
He was screened on that goal too.
Yeah, and I mean, Coach Adelic scores a hat trick in this game as well. That was a hat trick goal. A little bit of a celebration there at the end, which I celebrate all you want, but I think a celebration like that could come back to haunt you. There's a few things I've seen in this series.
What kind of celebration? I can't remember.
He just did something with his hand, and he was like showboating to the crowd, right? And I don't know if it was directed towards Sudbury fans or not. And celebrate all you want. I'm not trying to be, an old time hockey person, whatever you want to call it, but celebrate all you want. But I think taunting in a celebration is very dangerous in the playoffs unless you win the series. Because the one thing I've always seen from the Steelheads is that normally doesn't happen. We saw it in Game 3. I will bring it up. But that normally doesn't happen. But I've seen it a lot of things from Sudbury in this series where that can fuel the Steelheads. That's
Yeah,
something a poster you put on the dressing room walls, right?
that's the thing, right? Like I said, this series is far from over.
Yes, it is. But pretty deflated after that game too. The mood
Whoa.
was very much, which obviously everyone is very. I feel like humans are very pessimistic by nature. Sometimes we go and stick to negative news quicker
Yeah.
than positive stuff. And right away, the mood was this could be the last game in Mississauga ever that we just witnessed.
Yeah, that hit, but I'm like, nah, they'll win game 3 or 4.
Yeah, there was still a little bit of like, okay, they just have to win
Yeah,
one game.
and they
We'll
were
be
gonna
back
do
here
that for game
Friday,
5.
and they did exactly that. Like there is a game Friday now. There is a game 5 going to be back at home in Mississauga. And yeah, I guess we can move on to game 3. But it was a long day break in
It
between
felt long.
where you're like, what's going to happen? Obviously, it was Easter, so mindset is
Yeah.
somewhere else. But you're like, what is going to happen here? Because Sudbury, they're going to come close to a sellout. The building's going to be loud. And, they got a good team. They got a lot of offense. If they get scoring here, could be a problem. Because now Leenders, that's another story. He didn't just miss the game. He is out. We don't know if he's coming back. So
Oof.
could be a storyline there. But game 3, Mark.
It could be
Game 3, they win.
much needed.
Much
Right,
needed win.
moment they won too, a couple hours before I put up my article.
Yes,
It's fantastic.
that's right.
Praising Ivan Kovic, saying, it's his net now. Run with it.
Exactly. And that he did. 38 saves in this game. Made some huge ones. Like, one of the
big.
bigger reasons that they won that game, especially because, like you said, puck watching again in the third period. A lot of giveaways. I would love to see the advanced stats for this game because in the third period, there was no first pass. It was you would intercept the puck or grab the puck, and it's a giveaway every single time. And credit to Sudbury for that because they're playing a very good neutral zone game. But fortunately, the Steelheads pulled out the win there. Again, like I mentioned, Ivan Kovic, 38 saves. The Steelheads go up 2-0, which was huge. Chaz Sharp getting them on the board. I think if Sudbury would have scored first, we could be looking at a done series tomorrow night. But they go up huge. And Lucas Carmiers with 2 of the biggest goals like I can remember for the Steelheads.
Yeah. I don't want to go to a negative side, but they need 2 guys to step up.
Yeah, no, please bring it up, please. Yeah.
Can you guess who those 2 players are?
We're talking in terms of goal scoring?
Yes.
I'm thinking, I don't know if we're on the same wavelength here, but I'm thinking it's going to be McDonnell and Zabeski.
I'll just say close enough. I'll just say Martone and Misa.
Okay. Oh, that is so true. Yeah, they have not scored. Martone did get the empty netter.
Where are their 2 best players been?
That's right. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Their top goal scorers and point leaders, right, have not been there so far in this series. But that is interesting that you bring that up because we've seen it in the NHL before, for example, and I've seen it in OHL series before where you go 3 games, 4 games without your top guys doing anything. All of a sudden they take over. They're back, right? I wonder if that plays a part into this series because I feel like a lot of Sudbury Wolves fans, the way it was talked about online is this series was over after Saturday. And it's going 7. Like
100%. It's either going 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But probably 7.
I think it's going 7. But you're absolutely right. That's a great point. Their 2 leading scorers have not done much in this series.
No, they need to step it up. Yeah, like you said, empty net goal, but it's an empty net goal.
It's an empty net goal. You're right. Yes. Yeah. Of course.
So these guys got to step up because they were really quiet on Saturday.
Yeah.
I couldn't catch yesterday's when I saw the highlights. They just show the goals. But these guys got to come out and play.
Yeah, I think the keys to the next couple of games are going to be where is Martone and Misa? You mentioned, I think that's a great point. And discipline, because in this, they are very lucky they won this game. Because if Sudbury had capitalized on even one of those power plays they were given, which they did, that's not what I mean. Like later in the game, if they were, because the Steelheads took like back-to-back penalties at one point in quick succession, and if they even capitalized on one, this could be a Sudbury one. It could be 3-0. So
yeah, and they haven't learned anything from what we talked about the last few months.
No, there was even one penalty yesterday. It was a little funny. It looked like something out of a cartoon where McDonnell takes a tripping call. Like, it was kind of dumb. He put his stick. He was chasing the guy on a back check, put a stick in between his legs, and the guy fell, and he put up his hands like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that." It looked like something out of a cartoon, and I was like, "I can't believe he just did that." But yeah, they killed off the penalty kill was fantastic too. Shorthanded goal by Lucas Carmirez on the penalty kill as well to put them up 3-2. Nice. It was a very nice goal. So yeah, no, great. They have the depth has come. We talked about it. The depth is there, and it's scoring. So that's great.
The depth is carrying them, but where's the other guys?
Right, you need your top players. If you're going to win this series, you will need your top players to at least chime in, to at least say, "Hello, I'm here."
Exactly. That's all I need. Have them show up tomorrow. You go back to Mississauga tied 2-2. It's best out of 3.
Exactly. And I mean, there's a couple. Carmirez. I can't say enough good things about this player. Obviously, he scored the 2 goals. I mentioned it a couple episodes ago. This guy's fantastic on the draws. Again, he went 14 for 23. Took 23 draws yesterday.
23.
Yeah, so, which is great. And yeah, just I mean the defense. Finn Harding is getting a rough ride physically in this series. He's bouncing back and he's making plays, and I think that there's something to be said about that too. Parker Von Richter has been very steady. I feel like he's when things get kind of frantic, I notice him calming things down and making just a very simple play.
He is. He's very low key at the back end.
Yeah, like super low key. Like you'll never notice him, but I've only noticed him because he'll just grab the puck when there's a very frantic play, and he'll make just the most simple play, and the puck gets out, and it's fantastic.
He's very calm with it.
Yeah, for the most part.
Actually, before we go on that, Mac Donnell's 1 goal in this series.
Yep.
And Misa's got 1 goal in this series. Martone has 2 assists. Well, I'm looking at the score sheet from Saturday. So Martone had 2 assists, and then
so
lovely.
They need a little bit more out of them because Sudbury. Look at Sudbury's side; their top guys have come to play. They're putting in some great points. It's not even their top guys; they are getting performances out of not top guys, I guess per se, but their top guys have come to play, and I think at the end of the second yesterday too, Landon McCollum was taunting one of the Steelheads players. He was saying, 3-0 coming soon. He was pointing at the scoreboard. That's what he was saying.
They're just giving like fuel to these guys.
They keep giving. That's why I say chirping is a part of the game. It's great. I think you should do it. The physical play in the playoffs, I love all of it. I love that stuff so much, but I would be careful with what you say because some teams can use that as fuel.
We literally saw that last year in the first round of the Leafs last year in game 4 when the Tampa Bay guy was like, they went up 4-1 Tampa. He's like, oh yeah, we're going back, whatever, tied. And then,
Didn't happen.
No. So it's like, you're just giving fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely think Mississauga wins tomorrow.
I think so too. No, I absolutely think this comes again. Like I said, it's going 7. I do think that the Steelheads are winning the series in 7 now. I believe it.
And if they get Leaner's back, even better.
Right, and look at the way the games have gone. Game 1 was a wash. Game 2 was very much up in the air, even to the end. And I feel like the Steelheads were very much controlling it until Leanders got hurt. I feel like that's a Steelheads win. The Steelheads changed. It changed everything. Yeah, and the Steelheads won Game 3. So if you're looking at the entire series right now, and the Steelheads top guys, like you've mentioned, have not come to play yet at the top level. They have not taken over a game, which we know they can. What's the reason for Sudbury to run away with this series? I don't see it yet. I don't see it yet because I have not seen the Steelheads top guys knock on the door yet.
No, and even watching Sudbury play, it's like we've talked about. Their defense, but like they're very sloppy defensively. Offense is, like you said, that's their strong point. When they have the puck, it's kind of like, oh, here they come.
Yes.
But then once you get out of your own zone and come at them,
and if you can neutralize them, which I think
lost.
Yes, exactly. And I think the Steelheads have done a fair job of neutralizing their offense because it is so potent. Like they have the top goal scorer in the entire league. You got an NHL draft prospect. Like their top line is insane, and then their depth scoring is pretty good as well, right? When you look at the rest of the lineup, the goaltending and defense, it just doesn't match up. It's not there. So if you can take advantage of that, continue to take advantage of that, you could win this series. But like you said, it's just that the transition play. They have to get a little bit better, and the Steelheads' top guys have to be everything for them moving forward. It's true. And I would put McDonnell. I know he has one goal in this series. It was a big goal, but I put McDonnell in that column too because he has to be relied upon to be a play driver in this series.
Exactly, and that's all they need. They need these depth guys to come out and show up, not be a different series, man.
Well, it's not done yet. It's not done yet, and I
Exactly.
wanted to preview that. We have a game 4 Wednesday night in Sudbury, and I think the Sudbury crowd does play into it again because it's probably going to be close to sold out once again. It's loud in that building, and it's going to play a factor into this. So I think the Steelheads, the key to success for me tomorrow is you have to score first again.
Take the crowd out of it.
Yeah, you have to take that crowd out of it. And again, Ivan Kovic will be a big factor as well. There's no reason to believe that he won't put in another great performance. He's done it all year, and he's done it so far in his time in the series.
So, and if you look at the 6 games that they've played against Sudbury in the season, he started most of them. So he knows what to expect from these guys.
Yeah, he's familiar with the team, right? So
exactly.
I think something to be said about that too. And I think game 2 was just once that first goal goes in on Ivan Kovic, everyone starts running around a little bit. You start to get anxious because you're not sure.
They look the chicken to their head cut off.
Yeah, right. You start to run around a little bit. So yesterday they looked a little bit more calm in the first 2 periods, and we're playing a little more structured. But that third period is not. I didn't like that third period. I'm glad they pulled out that win. Empty netter helped, but they need another strong performance tomorrow, and I think they're going to bring it. I think they're going to bring it.
And let's hope they do. They need it.
It'd be great. But we have a confirmed game 5 in Mississauga on Friday night as well, so that's nice. We are delaying the eventual end of Mississauga OHL hockey, but hopefully it's delayed even further and we go another round or 2 deep. That'd be great as well. Some surprises around the league too. Like I don't think anyone is really out of any series yet. I mean, the ones that are up 3-0 are pretty much done. But
well, I'm glad you brought that up because I've got the bracket pulled up on my phone. I was waiting for this moment. So Barrie and Oshawa are 1-1 right now,
which is shocking, I think, to a lot of people.
The one that I'm kind of shocked at, and please tell me you saw the video. It's North Bay and Kingston. It's 2-1 North Bay in that series.
The penalty box video?
Yeah. You played with teams like about North Bay, Niagara, Sarnia, and Kitchener.
Yeah.
Like, the guy did his homework on that. I respect that. That's what you call a good chirp in the playoffs.
That is a good one, especially in the penalty box. So like you're right there with the guy. That's a good video.
And then Brantford and Ottawa is 1-1. That's gonna go 7. I think that anyone can win that series.
Yeah.
God love, like I said, shout out to Dave Cameron still doing a good job.
Great job.
Then obviously. Yeah, and then still Mississauga, Sudbury. Talk about that. So London and Flint, 2-0 London. That's it could be a sweep, probably.
Yeah, there's a few I can see already being a sweep. That the Guelph series is a little surprising to me.
Is that?
That one's also 3-0.
Yeah, and then Saginaw's up 3-0.
Yeah.
What place is Sioux and Guelph? What series is that?
I think they're a 3-6. But it could be the 4-5. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't looked at the Western Conference standings, but it's somewhere in there.
That's surprising.
Yeah, so that one is a little surprising. Although there was some controversy in the third period of that game yesterday, that game 3. I saw a lot of Guelph Storm fans kind of discussing that. They should not have been in that position. They should have won that game. But anyway, that's the OHL, baby. That's showbiz.
Yep. And then 4 and 5, Kitchener and Erie is at 1-1.
Yeah, that one's also not really surprising. I think Kitchener maybe has the better team in that. Like they should have maybe finished higher in the standings, but that one's not too surprising at this point. I think the most surprising one to me is honestly Oshawa Barrie. Barrie coming out and winning that first game was pretty surprising.
Yeah, that's not going to be a cakewalk for Oshawa.
No, I think it'll. I'm not saying it might not be a long series, but it's going to be a hard series if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what the outcomes are by the end of the week.
Yeah, it'll be fun. But I think this Steelheads and Wolves series is definitely going the distance. Even if they go up 3-1 Sudbury, because it's a very real possibility. You have that game 4 at home. I just don't see the Steelheads rolling over and dying like that in 5 games. So
no.
It's not in their DNA. It's not in the franchise's DNA. based on what they've put on the ice in the past and the culture they have cultivated there. And everything we've seen from this team so far this year, it's just not in their DNA. So I don't see it happening. They're going to leave it all out there on the ice tomorrow. I think it's going to be a really good game.
They're coming back to Mississauga tied at 2.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good game. So great series so far. I mean, it's been very enjoyable from, if you're looking at it from the objective point of view, like everyone, I think if you're not watching this, you're missing out. It's been a really good series so far.
Yeah, exactly. It's been fun.
It has. And physical. We didn't even mention that. It's been very physical.
No, it's been physical, lots of hitting.
Lots of hitting.
Fighting.
A lot of shenanigans at the bench.
Yeah.
Which only happens in Mississauga, by the way, because the benches are on opposite ends in Sudbury.
Oh, it's a shame. Yeah, we need more of that.
Right?
Yeah.
Which I had known that was a thing when I'm watching the game yesterday. And then I'm kind of like, oh yeah, like there's no like rough stuff at the bench. Like that'll only happen in Mississauga.
It's the same in Peterborough. It's across.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The older buildings. It's the OHL.
Exactly. Good fun. But
that's it for this week's episode of Steelheads Weekly. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. We'll be back. I don't know. We may have to wait until after Game 7. We're not sure when we'll record next. So I guess we'll have to see how the series plays out.
We'll be back. We'll be
back. I mean, the series. Who knows? When we're back, the series could be over, or it could be going to a 6th or 7th game. We'll play.
It'll be on.
Yeah, it'll be done. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled on it. And just another shout out. Go follow Mitchell Fox if you want to stay up to date on Twitter with everything. Mississauga Steelheads with the playoffs. He's been great with all the updates and all that stuff. So go check that out. Thank you very much for watching and listening this week, and we will see you all next week.
For more content, visit our YouTube channel and check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow the guys on social media at Matt_Mondays, at Nick LaFlame, and at Darius Dominguez.